Today we've got a 6 versus 6 that's just a few moments away from being an epic. Welcome, Supreme Commanders. I hope everybody finds you well. I realise it's just been 24 hours since there was last one out, but you know what? I took a couple of days off to get some extra stuff done for the old Forged Lines Forever channel that I run. This one is the lowest balanced game I think I've ever featured, at least on paper. Don't think, oh no, if it ain't balanced, I ain't interested. I wouldn't be either. I wouldn't be casting it. But this, apparently, you know, FAF Lobby says 86. Supreme Scoreboard says 87. I think 100%. We'll have to see what you think to that. Beneficiaries going to the team on the Lower East Side. Let's take a little look as well. Slightly tinkering with the intro here. Going to keep the same song going, seeing if that makes a difference rather than sort of interrupting it halfway through. I know some people say the intro goes on a little too long last time. Do make use of the chapters if you think that. If you don't like the preamble, just skip right on into the game. I realise I neglected to properly deal with that on last episode. I think that's probably why there were a couple of people not too happy with it. But there are many people out there, and I myself was in a position like this not too long ago, where you're either living by yourself or you're somewhere working by yourself, perhaps in a port cabin, or who knows the situation. Maybe you're just laid in a hospital bed, who knows. And just to have a friendly little voice, you know, say hello for a minute or two before the action kicks off can really make the difference for somebody's day. I know it did for me, and if I can make that little bit of a difference for somebody's day, I will. And, you know, at risk of upsetting everybody else, all I can do is apologise and tell you to make use of the chapters. Assuming, of course, I can remember to use them. All right, enough of that. Let's jump on in. This, by the way, was the second game. I realize some of you saying, hang on, wasn't yesterday's game also taking place on the 14th of May? Yes, it was. I'm casting this, obviously, a day or two later. But this game, yeah, was another one. All right, let's bring in the music. Once again, Total Annihilation and unpause. There we go. All right, fantastic. So this one going down on Adaptive Kawaii Souls. Not Hawaii, but Kawaii. It's a 10 by 10, so another really, really small map in the grand scheme of things, and 12 players. And so that ensures a ton of action. All right, well, let's slow down time then and start introducing our players. We'll start ways on the top here. In the back for Team 1, here we're starting here, PhantomSamurai. This guy, an 1800, going as UEF. His first land there as well. We'll see, we'll have to get around these quite quickly, I think. We'll move over to his right is the old chicken. This guy has Aeon in orange. He's 1400 as well. Going first land, and then for whatever reason deciding to observe the scenery before continuing on. Perhaps a slight misclick there from the old chicken himself. Moving further to his right down a little bit in the old Burgundy. We've got Wuka, the 1200 Cybran. This guy going first land as well. Moving to his left then as we continue on with team number 1. In the marker pen colour, it's Kramar, another UEF. This guy going first land as well, a 1200. He arguably the forward slot for his team. Moving back in electric blue, another UEF. This guy, mythologist, 1400, also going first land. And then last but not least, in lilac, another UEF. It's going to go with Tolsty. It's Tolsty 4 OK. This one going first land as well at 1200. So many players here that we're seeing today as UEF for Team 1. Not all, but so many. It's a little unusual. We'll switch over. We'll start in the forward slot. We'll ask the orchestra just to pipe down a sec. Is Blazeroflasher. We featured this guy a week or two on the channel as well in the deeper purple. He's 1000 rated playing as Aeon as well and has gone first land, just about finishing to get his hydro. I think we can afford to speed up time just a tad. We'll move over to his south left is KenKaneki. What a name that is, Ken. He's sort of the mustardy yellow. Another UEF as well. He's 1200. Don't think we featured Ken on the channel before. We'll move down further to the south. Somebody who we certainly have featured before, if we can find where he's run off to, is Legend Law 2. Here he is, having run over here with his commander to grab a mass point. Kind of surprised he run past here and didn't pick this one up. I guess, yeah, he really wants to get there fast. Although building a mass point for a commander isn't too much of a delay. But I guess Legend Law 2 disagrees, and at 1700, who am I to argue? Cybran going first land. In the back then, it's another one of these with a funny name. PA3APEM. I'm going to call him Paba Pem, but there's too much pa. It's going to get my pop filter having a breakdown, and so I think I'm just going to go with Paba. He's the highest rated player in the game today. The only guy that is over the 2000 rated at 2100. In yellow going Seraphim with a mudge. You wouldn't believe how many comments I still get on my older videos where I'm going Seraphim with a N, and I'm no doubt going to screw up again at some point. I'm sure you'll be the first to let us know. Moving forward anyway, it's xxxxx or triple X twice over, or if we want to get real funky, it's a sextuple X, which is kind of weird because if it's triple X twice over and it also looks like a bunch of kisses, sextuple means 6, but sextuple, it also, well, you can figure it out for yourself. Either way, there's an awful lot of love coming from this guy. He's yet another UEF. He's 1300 in the old Cyan there. And then last but not least, I'll tell you what, man, it feels like you've finished casting the game just by the time you've gotten around all 12 players. In Ferrari Red, it's Ilmir, another UEF player in 1300. This guy going first land, second land, potentially third, and then fourth air, fifth land. With that, we'll go back to full pace. We'll take a little look. First time we've featured this map on the channel. I'm going to have to tone down my excitement just a little bit. It sounds like if I get too excited that my voice might not hold out. We'll have to see. Again, this one is slated to last almost, but not quite the full epicosity mark. Although I think I'm going to put it down as an epic, and you'll see why. Fantastic game. What's not so fantastic for these guys is having gotten picked up by the Cybran commander. And since when did it take 2 shots to kill a Mech Marine? Is that, you could say, well, they're the flares. They belong to the Aeon. Has that always been like that, guys? Do let us know. I always thought 1 shot, 1 kill for any sort of light assault bot, but apparently no. Yeah, so we've got this interesting little pond or lake in the middle. I'll tell you what, be a decent place to put a navy in just for the cruiser side of things. That having cruisers, of course, very vulnerable to any sort of floating stuff that may come over. So then you think, well, I've got to make destroyers then, or perhaps shields. And by the time you go with all of that, you think, was it really worth it? I don't know. The Seraphim UEF cruisers, or perhaps the Aeon Torrent class. I don't know, man. On a 10x10 map, you put one of those in the middle. For me, yeah, for sure. Drop coming on over here for Team 1. Who are in the northwestern corner today, and he's going to land right next to a scout belonging to Lasher. So Blazeroflasher, we'll just go with Lasher, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. A solitary scout there. Little escort here from the old chicken, but chicken decides no. And no doubt a bunch of pings here from Team 2 saying, hey guys, we've got incoming here. We see him flying over. Let's just call him, I don't know what to call him. X-Man, just X-Man will do. Nice little cheeky drop here. I don't think this is going to last very long. Wow. Haba, look at the response time there. And this, what is this? Lil Siddle. I like that. No doubt part of the map, not noticed that before. And so, yes, very nice little drop here from PhantomSamurai. He's going to have to put some anti-air on there if he wants to hold it. And here's why. Paba, not wasting no time, getting on there with the Tech 1 bomber. And he's going for the rail. And so 2 of them are down. Well, now you're going to want to get your Sen a radar and start reclaiming. I mean, these engineers, they're not going to last, right? This is more of an annoyance than anything. And Phantom is dancing. Dancing for days. This is a little too ambitious, I think, from PhantomSamurai. But I'll tell you what, again, when someone's an 1800, who am I to argue? Now, this is what we were thinking here with Blazer. Or let's not use Blaze. It's just going to confuse with his units, especially when he's Aeon and he can put Blazes out. Lasher using his floaty, naughty as Guile would call them. The old Auroras there coming across the way. And this is going to easily deny the other team from even thinking about setting up a Navy yard, especially if you're UEF. Very difficult to do. In fact, the northern team, there's only 2 of them that are not UEF, which is quite something when there are 6 players. I was a big fan, by the way, of the game yesterday, the Seraphim versus the Cybran. If ever there are any more setups like that, whether it's 3v3, 4v4, whatever it is, and everybody on one side goes one faction, everybody on the other side goes another faction. If the game's any good, send it my way. I really want to cast some more of those. Doesn't matter what the factions are, just, well, good games anyway, but priority right now, it's a very rare thing. We will check back in over here in a sec. Tolsty 4OK here has the gun, and interesting with a shoulder drone. That's an interesting mix, but problem for him is he's in a 2 versus 1 situation. Yes, Ken here is bare, but Legend's got gun. There's a lot of spam here, and bare or not, 2 versus 1, there's not much you can do about that, especially when the other side is vastly outnumbered you with units. Artillery raining in as well. I think Toasty is toast. $500, 100. Ooh! Bang! Difficult to say whether that was one last shot or an inbound rain from artillery. But Legend gets him. And with it, Tolsty bows out inside 9 minutes, making it 6 versus 5, favoring Team 2, who are, of course, on this game, 66 points ahead on average. 66 points per player ahead. So by the time you multiply that out across the 6 players, you're looking at roughly 400-point lead to the team down south. We'll check back over here now. What sort of a hole has that blown up? Well, not too bad. Mythologist back here. He's Tech 2. And he's laying down the triad, so that's going to be enough to dissuade these 2 guys from pushing through. Yes, Legend Lord does have a few units over here, trying the old run by on the northwestern side. It looks like Mythologist able to tip enough units into that region, force Legend back. Yes, he gets a factory and a mass point for his troubles. There's going to be a fair amount of mass from that exchange there. I would suspect that more than makes up for it. Excuse me if I can hit my mute button in time. You don't got to listen to us coughing and spluttering and dying. Wuka over here putting down the Cybran forward operating base. Bunch of Cerberus turrets. It's a nice comment the other day from someone saying he does like it when I zoom in once in a while. I said I will try to zoom in as and when there's a brief pause in the action. Of course, the camera gets upset by the terrain. It always jolts it, and apologize for that. What's Lasher up to here? So this guy is Aeon, and he's got the sniper gun, and I was not aware that that was a passable gradient. So apparently 45 degrees is about where the limit is at for units, certainly the commander, to traverse down. I really would have thought this would have been a pretty much landlocked bridge where only floating units could get across, but no. Flasher shows otherwise. And at 10 minutes, now 11, this guy's making landfall on the far side of the situation. Let's see what he can see. Oh, that's it right there. And so this is where you need your team. If you're aware of this, certainly if you've got air, you need to put air over and around this player, because the player, not only to protect him, but to help him see what's coming. Because right now, Lasher's got no idea if there's anything here or here. You know, there could be a massive swarm of units grouping up. He doesn't know. Again, nice pickup here. He does now roll a few Auroras forward with him, so these are going to act more as his eyes and ears than they are putting much damage down. But this guy, Lasher man, I thought he was just going to try and cause a bit of a nuisance, but he's more than causing a nuisance. He's going in deep. Go for the energy storage. Go for the energy storage. Ping's going down from all, I think all teams, all players are basically saying, hey, caution, look at this. And I would suspect Lasher's team's saying, dude, what are you doing, man? Go for the energy storage. Go on. There he is. That's it. Boom. See, that's it. Nice little chain reaction there. Blazeroflasher still a Tech 1. First vet. He's about to become vetted on the second level. He's starting to eat some Tech 2 point defense. It is only the Sibes, but it's point defense now, 2 of them. And there's a lot of units swarming him now. There's a lot of air. I wouldn't march yourself back into more Cerberus point defense. They're not going to miss. And I think Blazeroflasher's given up here. I think he's realized he's had it, and he may as well stay around and get what he can as he detonates inside the 13th minute, bringing it back to a 5 versus 5 situation. Full share is on. Of course, we've seen a lot of moaning and groaning about that a game or two ago, with some of the players and comments as well saying increasingly in a full share game, it is not worth picking off commanders unless they are the strongest commander for the team. So you may say, you know, if you can get Paba here, the 2100, maybe worth picking him off, perhaps not worth picking Ken off. Or certainly Blazeroflasher. He was, I guess, the lowest rated. But of course, when he's marching into your base, do you really have a choice? I don't think so. Little drop attempt over here from Legend. Not sure if it was an empty transport just to distract or whether there was a solitary unit on there. But it didn't get very far thanks to the flak here. Flak very, very effective versus the old transport ships, especially when they're trying to drop. Checking in over here. Legend finds himself up against a much stronger looking commander, but Legend is able to bring a lot of reinforcements in quicker, and with a large amount of build capacity, that's going to give him point defense to retreat to should he need. He's also up against a few pillars, which is great for Legend when there's only a few. It's going to enable him to vet up far quicker than his opponent. It used to be forged lines that any unit counted towards vet, so whether you killed a Tech 1 scout or a massive experimental, it was worth the same. A kill was a kill. I think it was 25 for a first rank, 50 for a second rank. It didn't matter what it was. Of course, that was changed years ago, and it largely depends on how valuable is the unit that you kill, and the value measured, as far as I'm aware, entirely in mass. And so these units here, the Tech 2 pillars, much more costly than the Tech 1. And so Legend can overcharge them. Of course, the flip side, they're able to put out more damage, which is why trickling just 1 or 2 in like that Mythologist is doing is actually the very worst thing you could do. And Legend, you see now he went from 1 to 3 star, and he's almost halfway onto his 4th. With it, more hit points and the all-important commander regeneration. Quick check-in over here. We got some base wars taking place. Wuka is pretty aggressive. He is still trying to hold on to this. Scott Flax, he's at the Tech 2 stage. He's by himself. Yes, there's a shield. attack missile defense, point defense. But it just feels like if the southern team decide to push round here, he could find himself cut off. Yes, he does have a secondary base here. Somebody else that's a big fan of the old elastic defense. And the old chicken is waiting there as well. Old chicken, though, is bare. And never a great thing to stand still near the front line. Bear commander or not, I have to say. Yes, there's one tap missile defense in the area. But I would still, if nothing else, move. Try and get yourself under a shield. Or think about heading back towards base at this stage. The action has been stabilized. If there's a time you want to assist your teammate, this is it, especially when there's a row of Titans. Mr. X trying to push through, but again, they're making a mistake here, only presenting a few of them. It needs to be all or nothing, really. Has Wuka got the... yes, he does, but only just. He's only got one energy. Still 8,000 health. Looks like the old chicken is coming down to assist. We'll have another look in a minute. Quick check over here. Looks like Legend Law's been pushed right back by a handful of units here from Mythologist. Is that build capacity gotten enough point defense online in time? There's 3 of them on. Doesn't quite manage the 4th. But with a very heavily damaged Titan now going back and just a couple of pillars left. I think these 3-point defense might just make it too. Yeah, they've got it. Nice recovery there. You see Legends almost full health coming back out. Check back over here. What's happening? I like this. Wuka pulls back. Leaves the higher health commander up front to deal with. Old chicken there providing covering fire. Allowing his injured teammate to retreat. And old chicken, if we take a look. Yeah, look, this guy's got 39,000 energy potential in his storage. That means his overcharge is much more powerful. Again, for those who've not played this game for a while, not only does energy storage enable you to overcharge, before you just needed to build one, that was it. The more energy storage you have, the more powerful your overcharge is. Clearly, the more costly it's going to be to use every overcharge. It does cap out at a certain point, but that's why you see players building a whole string of them. And providing they've got the income to fund it, makes a commander increasingly relevant for much longer than they ever were. And Mythologist making use of the Titans. Tech 2 capped off. Mass point there belonging to Legend Law. 6 mass per tick for the Tech 2. Another 3 for the cap. Makes it 9. Legend Lord moving back up to try and cover this area. He's got the gun as well as the stealth upgrade, so he's not got tech. So we can't rebuild this unless he's happy to start again from tech 1. And it looks like he's happy to reclaim that area. And if we take a look, there's why. 3,800 mass right there, assuming he can hang around to do that. That's a lot of mass. He can put that into a tech 3 mass point. Should he wish. Back at base. It's like, speaking of base, or at least base wars, a bunch of flapjacks there on the line for Ilmir, for Team 2. Of course, their weakness is versus direct fire. And that was a beautiful overcharge from the old chicken. Gets 3 of them in one shot. And he has got the intel suite as well. And so look at that. Huge fan of this, by the way, the Aeon. I don't think their intel suite was this good 15 years ago. I do really like it. I see why players use it an awful lot. Certainly before you get the omnisensors on the line. And it looks like Mr. X here is fancying to show a little bit of love versus the forward operating base belonging to Wuka. Old chicken there in tow. Ping's going down. No one else saying, hey pal, what you doing? You're eating Cerberus fire, you've got an incoming sniper com, there's another commander there, you've got Oblivion turrets bearing down on you. And despite being a Tech 3 commander, he's only getting 30 hit points a second. He's not got any vet yet. Looks like old chicken happy to hang back a bit, reclaim what he can. A lot of these units here from Ilmir have been redirected to a new front line. Walled off that area, perhaps thinking, well, we'll back off. It's quite an investment to build a static front line that is impervious to one or two commanders, especially the sniper comp. Need to put down a lot of point defense there if you wish to seal that off indefinitely. What's this? That, without a nuclear warning, can only mean one thing. And here it comes. Bang! And the dirt is gone. It is Billy Newt, and at 21 minutes, that is one of the, I think, the fastest Billy I've ever seen. Kramar. Tech 2 has gotten the Billy Newt as well as the gun. The only thing this commander can go is change his Tech 2 for a Tech 3. And then you are set for battle. What's this? We've got Ravagers going down here from Mr. X. Well, this will be enough to plug this gap. He's sending Percy's in. Almost gets the old chicken. Old chicken able to overcharge. My goodness, that shield was close. Old chicken maybe needs to get some dancing lessons because a lot of that Ravager fire would have missed. But I don't think it matters. He's gotten out of dodge. The problem is these Ravagers are going to be able to outrange. Well, there you see, almost the entire base. The shield certainly. It's going to leave this solitary Cerberus turret. But for those that don't know, if you ground fire, as in force the fire right on the very edge for the Ravager, sometimes the splash, when it misses slightly, will catch. A second Billy on the 22nd minute here, and that's enough for you to force Ilmir. Well, I'm surprised he didn't have TAP missile defense in the area before. It's going to want probably 2 or 3 of those, and you certainly don't want them too far aft of the Billy. Billy is the splash damage from the Billy, you know, can potentially outrange the TAP missile defense, certainly if there's only one of them. So you perhaps want to think about putting a TAP missile defense a little further forward, ensuring that Billy Newt can't get through. 23 minutes then, let's have a little look at the economic situation overall. So mass income totals 1,200 versus 1,100. Those figures are of course rounded off, so they could be a little closer or further, ever so slightly favouring Team 2. And so that's these guys down south. These guys, of course, the ones with the lead on paper as well. So everything going their way, including the first player that was down, was, you know, it was the lowest one. Ping over here. Now, is that the lower team realizing, yes, it is. And so the old GC from the old chicken, he didn't make a chicken bot, but of course there's Aeon, perhaps a little unlikely. Kramar trying to walk the Billy Nukes forward. And is this one going to get through? No, by the nick of it. This tactical missile defense with this one picks off the Billy before it was able to detonate. A SAM site from the old chicken over here. That's going to go down. I understand why Wuka control Cade or self-detonated this area of the base. He perhaps didn't want the Ravager getting all that free veterancy. If it was going to die anyway, why not take it out? 24 minutes. We're also seeing a second experimental from Team 1 as well. Incy Wincy Spider making his way through the bottom of the sea. By the way, any of you mod makers know how to get me the camera underwater? I would love one of those mods. If you could somehow pull that off, that would be fantastic. Until then, we'll have to make do with the camera close to the surface. As Wuka's monkey together with the GC here from the old chicken start pushing through. See here, Legend Law was able to recover a large amount of the terrain. He's got units up here. Don't forget, he was pushed all the way back here with the pillars about 10 minutes ago. Mythologist able to hold, but right now, I think it all comes down to what's going to happen here and here. Let's get a quick look close in. See here what the GC is capable of. Sucking units with both arms while his Cyclops Eye lasers the place to death. And he can trample on units as well, so it's really a 4-in-1. And it's got an Omni sensor on board. So while the GC begins its retreat now, let's take a closer look here at the Monkey Lord from Wuka. This thing is going to be lasering for days. I think it's caught Team 2 completely by surprise. Ping's going down now. Let's see what Team 2 can see. Has anybody said anything? We've certainly seen the pings. You've just got to be wondering, well, what can they do? Sure, Trickle breaks in. Ken decides, well, time to run away. I do wonder what's the plan there from Wuka. Well, for now, just to infiltrate the main bases. Try and inflict as much damage as possible. Few Tech 1 bombers that are available are sent in now from Paba. It's going to take quite some time to chew through the hit points. The Monkey Bot is a 3-star, and it's not too far away from getting 4. There it is. Well on the way to being a 5, and it's a 5-star, so there's nowhere else for the Monkey Lord to go now. But it is regenning 135 hit points a second. 51 kills. It's going to get itself 60,000 mass. Main cannon turns around, no doubt going for the ion reactor, but picked off before it's able to do so, in large part thanks to Paba managing to knock himself 60 Tech 1 bombers out in that time. That was a devastating Monkey Lord there. Very well played from Team 1. And showing perhaps a weak spot. I'm not sure if Team 2 didn't have an Omni sensor here, but certainly I don't think they began responding to anything until the Monkey Lord was at least here. Now, was that a self-defensive bully? Well, whether it was or it wasn't, the commander's gone down. And then a second commander. Kramer and Wuka both going down inside the same 5 seconds. Wow. Suddenly, Team 2 find themselves 5-3 ahead. The silver lining, though, for Team 1, it's not all over. It's the 3 weakest players that have gone down there. All 1200s. What's left is an 18 and a 14 and a 14. Check back over here. Nice Fat Boy starting to make its way down here. This will, I think, enable Mythologist, instead of just holding and these little probe attacks, he may be able to push a little deeper. Yes, he's got a nice static defense spot here, but when you've got this many bricks, I'm not sure those static defenses are going to hold. Maybe worth redirecting the Fat Boy to try and pick up some of these bricks. Air coming through now as well from Paba, no doubt to deal with the Fat Boy. Those, though, getting picked off thanks to a wonderfully placed flat unit here. 6 kills, that particular one. Briggs picking off support commanders, making a forward line there as well for Mythologist. And that's punched a big hole into what was a pretty effective looking forward operating base there. And the fatty finding himself required in more places than one. The last brick goes down. Thankfully, Mythologist does have a few purses. Get your words out right. And the purses, you know, I always say, you know, the rate of fire is a bit of a limitation for them. But when you get critical numbers like this, the rate of fire doesn't matter because there's that many of them that they're able to keep shooting. 30 minutes now. Check back on the Fat Boy. Thanks, it's got a Incy-Wincy now to contend with. And the rounds impacting is a big clue that the northern team have got eyes on the Incy-Wincy, whether it's radar or scouts. And we've got a nuke out. Where's this one? Here it is. Haba, the nuke, blended in with his Air Force temporarily. Where's it due to go? Well, it's trending this way. Oh, it's impacting here right on PhantomSamurai's base. Oh! Well, it's not every day you see a nuke pick off 2 experimentals when it's flying across the map. Well, you've seen it here. And that leaves a bit of a hole now. And Mr. X is exploiting it. Yes, there's one GC left, but it's not a fair fight. The GC here, it's got a couple of units in tow and a second full health GC as well. Check back in a minute. That's going to be a win for Mr. X. This leaves a hole wide open. Fatty over here for Mythologist putting down. It doesn't seem to be too much to stop it. But this Fatty's got a lot further to go. There is some Incy-Wincy here. There's enough purses, I think, to cause it a bit of a headache. But this... one of them, of course, very heavily damaged. And Mr. X, no beginner at 1300, puts the high health GC at the front, the low health one at the back. And in comes the Tech 1 bombers, this time from Team 1. PhantomSamurai, how many has he been able to get? So far, 55. And no surprise, they're going for the very heavily damaged GC first. Going for the nuke defense, and I can't see anything that's going to save that at this stage. 16 kills so far for the high health. The low health GC with 97 is a 3-star, but I don't think he's going to get too much else done. PhantomSamurai now with 94 bombers on the line. The one GC goes down, one remains. That's going to take the wrath. Probably 100 bombers now. Indeed there is. Old Chicken with a GC of his own. Look at the carnage. The bombs raining in from all around. The GC just trying to get away from the other GC to inflict as much damage as possible before it does eventually succumb. Still half health. Just wow. Does eventually stand still for a little too long. 52 kills with a 3-star. And that's it in no small part thanks to PhantomSamurai. Very well played. And with that, the attack peters out. He's got a few Tech 3 units to deal with. There's a GC on hand to help the Tech 1 bombers mop up. And so it's back to this corner. Fatty's having a fight with a cliff. And they're never going to win that one. Finally, the artillery there getting round the side of the cliff. And there in the distance, you can see who it is that they're taking a particular dislike into. The old Cyclops eye, once again belonging to Mr. X. Not going to get that much done. We've got Tech 1 bombers making their ways over. GC very quickly getting underwater. Usually the head sticks out a little longer, but on something like this, with a very steep slope, that's not going to be the case. PhantomSamurai not chucking, or rather making use of these bombers, not just simply parking them off to one side. Paba, though, moves in with a handful of ASF, trying to pick off as many as he can. I wonder who's actually got air right now. PhantomSamurai with, well, let's just say 200 ASF. 220 if we count those bingo. In fact, these two are identical ASF. The only difference is PhantomSamurai has about 10% out of fuel. Get an air pad online and get these guys patrolling. That will soon fix that. Now we're starting to see some Tech 3 artillery as well. Where's that coming from? Somewhere's over here. Here we see it. And so it's Paba. Not yet with any kills, but the rounds are definitely on their way. Air continuing to put dominance down over here from Team 1. We've seen Ilmir here be right cheeky, sending support commanders and engineers up, trying to bag himself mass that's not very well defended. Broadswords now, well, they're going to chew through the hit points on the support commander very quickly. Tech 3 artillery being exchanged now, so both of these teams, you see the old chicken now with one online, the emissary there from the Aeon, and so that changes things over just a little bit as we enter the standoff weapon range. Another nuke out. Is this one going to thread through? Pings going down. There's a nuke defense here, but there's not one in the clip, and I can't see anything else. And that's going to impact. Bang! Painful one that. We had a bit of an air grid. We had the quantum gateway. Importantly, though, old chicken does hang on to the nuke defense. He's rushing himself a shield, which is hugely important, especially when you've got enemy defense sats above. I'm fully in agreement with those that say it should be called an aggression satellite. But as I'd always say, you know, speak to the Department of Defense about that. Fatty's rolling backwards and forwards before eventually getting picked off to superior firepower there from Mythologist. And it's starting to look like we really are in that long-term phase. Any units now that we've seen from both teams are getting picked off from the air. See Legend Law here trying to push some units through, but again, no air support. This many broadswords. Don't forget there's Percy's here as well for Mythologist. Right now you're just feeding cannon fodder into a machine. As we hear Monkey Lord, perhaps a defensive operation. There is a defense sat over here from Team 1. And so Mythologist here, I'm just not quite sure if he's used... Oh, he's trying to go for the Monkey Lord using the defense. And I'll tell you what, he's actually making progress. Look at this. Let's have another little look on the old situation here. We've got one artillery piece. There's a second one that's over halfway constructed now. Habat, who's eating artillery himself, he temporarily redirects his engineers to help support the Tech 3 shield. This was a thing that was never in my day, supporting shields. They were either on or they weren't. There was a bit of a glitch at one point where if you handed them off to a teammate, they would suddenly fully recharge. It was seen as an exploit, and I'm glad that FAF was able to put that sorted out very quickly. And again, a full health Fat Boy goes forwards. PhantomSamurai has a stab, then decides, no. Could this be an air fight that we've been waiting for? Looks like both players electing not to, and that's going to leave a very vulnerable Fat Boy here. PhantomSamurai realizes his opportunity. Go for the Fat Boy. And who can blame him? Let's take a little look at this artillery here. And so clearly, the team down south seems to be focusing on this area where the artillery is. And that's because the old chicken is also about done with his second artillery piece. Got it nicely surrounded with power gens here to increase the rate of fire. And bang, that's it. The second emissary now online for Team 1. What about down here? Well, the second artillery piece is online for Paba as well. And so this now is a 2 versus 2 situation when it comes to Tech 3 artillery. Say Team 2 looking comfortably in control on the land. They're certainly dominating the map. If we take a look at the 3 players here, we can see they've been pushed into about 25% or so of the map. Many pings, scouts, and of course they've got a defense sat. The other team, I'm sure I saw one, and indeed, there it is. Belonging to Ken. He's got himself a solitary sat over the other side of the map. Aim for arts, say the pings. And so they're going for the artillery. As we get to the 40th minute. Look at the skills here. As players just redirecting different shields in different places. Oh, one of them goes down. Look how quick they are to start rebuilding. Another one. Drones sent in to assist. The artillery's wide open. One of the fusions goes down. Another one very heavily Oh, that was so close. The emissary's halfway done. Very quickly. Again, players re-establishing on the shields. This one. That's going to be better now. That one's up. Now this one. I always thought the best thing was go Tech 2. It's a much if the gap's open, go for a Tech 2. It's a much quicker shield to build, and then you can set it upgrade into Tech 3. And as soon as it gets to Tech 3, you do also then gain advantage, not just of the increased hit points, but it immediately regenerates. So I think there is, a couple of reasons, at least in my book, if you're panicking and need cover, Tech 2, especially UEF or Seraphim shields. It looks like incredible crisis management technique here. Mythologist and Old Chicken are working on it a lot. In fact, PhantomSamurai as well. So this is all 3 of the players. Fantastic team effort. Let's check back over here on the other side. Well, I don't believe this. Haba. Oh, shield blinks on in the nick of time. Rounds incoming. Here we see Paba doing the same thing, using engineers here. Why not build another shield? I think you desperately need another shield, my friend. Forget about the 3rd artillery piece. And another one there blinking on. But with this much artillery raining in, 42 minutes. Is he going to hold? We see another one there collapsing. All the engineers now refocus on this one. So this, what we could term as shield micro. 2 more rounds coming in. Oh, the shield. The shield's gone. The sat breaks through. No, the shields. 1, 2. Oh, those are the 2 Tech 3 shields. Haba's base is wide open. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying this game, do leave us a like. I'll tell you somebody who's not enjoying this right now, and you is looking at him. Oh, he's going for the ion. The ion takes out one of the artillery pieces. The 2nd piece. Oh, it's 600 hit points. And the artillery from Team 1 takes it out. Could that have been the end of the game? Taking a look on the other side. They've kept both of their artillery pieces online. We see the defense sat over here as well. The area's saturated with shields. Got engineers down here. Mostly thanks to the Old Chicken supporting these shields. And most, if not all of these, are Tech 3 engineers. So they've got the build power to really, really make a difference. Seen here, Ken picking off some isolated structures now with a 2nd defense sat in the area. We've seen another one here from Ilmir, or Ilmir, should I say. And that's going to start picking apart the economy there from Team 1. But I think the damage, man. Haba not lobbing in the towel just yet. He's working to assist his air factory. He must have lost it. He's having to start again indeed. That's now his Tech 2 HQ. He's working on Tech 3. Only he will know why he's not shielded his particular area up. Perhaps he feels if they're going to take him out, why not at this stage? And KenKaneki, can KenKaneki make a difference here with these Titans? He's once again spearheading the attack with the UEF Tech 3 missile launcher. I'm gonna squeeze every last bit of juice out of that silly joke that I can. And once again, Ilmir with a few support commanders getting picked off. Yeah, it's working on anti-air, but when there's this many broadswords, how many has the Phantom got? 21 broadswords, and look at this, 300 ASF and another 100 out of fuel. So that's about 425 in total there for Team 1. Haba, of course, losing access to his factory, has what he has. 322. 8 on bingo. As we roll around to the 45th minute. Oh, the nuke base here as well belonging to Paba. Apologies for missing that. I'm sure he had a nuke launch here. That must have been taken out by the artillery as well. Seeing more and more defense sats now from the southern team. But what they really need is a little bit of punching power. It looks like we've got the first artillery again from down south helping. If these sats here work together, look at this. We've got 2 from Ilmir and at least 2 from Ken. In fact, we've got 3. The third making its way over now. Mythologist defense sat there going after what could only be undefended support commanders belonging to Mr. X. But it's this many defense sats able to break through. There's now 5 of them. What we need to do is go after the shields as and when they can break through. I'll have to check back in a minute as we roll around. So halfway through minute 46. Haba using his air here as a sort of flying shield, trying to catch as much of the... And there we see it. So 3 or 4 ASF there, eating that artillery piece. But now the defense sat here from Ilmir does eventually go down just. Got a second one here. Looks like the southern team have given up on this area for now, realizing they can't break through. Priorities elsewhere. The air grid here wouldn't be, if you want to call that an air grid, wouldn't be a bad target of choice. Of course, undefended Tech 3 mass points, always worth having. I just see legends. Did I just see a message that this... Oh, I did! Well, I guess the time to use this is now. Legend... And he's using it! 5-star telemazered up with the gun. Let's stick with him then. Where's he going? Where is it? Going to telly here after I finished Artie. Aim for Artie, the advice of the century. And here we can see the other team recognizes it. Starts working on the Oblivions. Oh my goodness. Did he get anything done? He picked off, I think, 1 Oblivion turret. That's how well defended the shield area was. This is where, if his team had sats in the area, they would be able to help exploit the shields, or rather the disruption as the shields went down. We see here there's 4 defense sats in the area from his team, but none of them were here. That may have been a lost opportunity for his team. We're seeing now 3 pieces of artillery traversing across the map, and that's going to be very, very difficult for Team 2 to stop. Don't forget, these were the guys that were ahead. They've been ahead for most of the game in terms of players. Taking a look on economy, it's 1.7 versus 1.3, favoring these guys. But it just feels like when you got 3 pieces of artillery raining in, has it been for naught? Is there anything over here really at risk? Yes, we've got another defense sat over now from Ken. He's got 4 of them. And Ilmir, what did we have? Just the one. So there's 5 defense sats that I'm sure if they work together, they can get something done. There's at least one over here as well from Mythologist. I think that is it, though. The one he's had for the last portion of the game. But the artillery fire now from Team 1 split. Experimental bomber there from Paba. He's going to take that off. But the artillery over here, I think, has broken into Ken's main base. And indeed it has. Shield as well as one of the defense sat structures going down. As we get towards the 50th minute. Just wondering what's the plan, Stan? Is he going to use this experimental bomber, bearing in mind that Paba is, well, he's well behind on air now. 100 ASF versus, not too far off, 500 there. The Northern team donating their air over to the PhantomSamurai. More pings going down. And I can't tell if this is to inform Ken that the base is wide open or to inform the other team that it's wide open. But I can see why they're taking a particular dislike to Ken at this moment in time. He's the one with the defense sat, and we are seeing again that one round of artillery from the other team that they're able to put out. And there could arguably be a second piece now. That's 2 pieces of artillery working together. We'll get the sats working with it. It's like they're taking a dislike to the defense sat there belonging to Ken. Go on, Team 2. Work together. If ever there was a time you wanted them to work together, now is it. Look at this. PhantomSamurai is starting to get some strats together. What's he got here? 25 ambassadors. So strategic bombers belonging to the UEF, of course, lacking the stealth. But when you've got that many as well as air superiority, does it matter that much? So make sure we keep an eye out on those. Mythologist able to re-establish thanks to a huge number of rover drones here. These guys can build so fast. Of course, they are very vulnerable to the air. What's this? The artillery together with the sats breaks through. Mr. X finally defeated. Yeah, there's only so long you can eat multiple rounds of Tech 3 artillery for with defense sats overhead. And that makes it a 3 versus 3. As we approach the 52nd minute. Save is really struggling over here. I just feel... Oh, what's this? Experimental bomber sneaks through. And they've not yet spotted it. Bomb and a control K. Oh, it breaks through. He gets the artillery. He gets it. Fantastic play from Paba. That is why he's a 2100. He has broken through the unbreakable. That changes everything. I was all ready to write these guys off. Team 1 were looking in a very strong position. However, what we got here, 40 strategic bombers. There's I don't know how many broadswords in tow and all. Ping's going down. What are you going to do? Sam Site City Central is going to take on some of this. In come the strategic bombers. And you can guess who's on the menu. Boom! Paba! Paba! That's assuming he is, of course, Paba. He's gone! It's a 3 versus 2. Team 1 now, despite losing their artillery, looking a lot stronger. We've still got a bunch of strats here belonging to PhantomSamurai, but they've been dealt with. Thanks to the insane amount of anti-air over here from Team 2. I think I'm not sure quite what the broadswords can do at this stage. And best I can tell, so we've got one piece of artillery still emanating from the team up top. We've got at least one piece going the other way. And importantly, 3 defense sats, as best I can tell, remaining as well. Broadswords making their way over here now from PhantomSamurai. Trying to get what they can. No doubt taking a particular dislike to the Disruptor. But they've been picked off. That is an insane air shredding facility that Team 2 have managed to get online. And almost all of it under the control of Ilmir at this moment. But KenKaneki, man, with these defense stats, I mean, they've not gotten many kills, let's be fair. But they've certainly kept the pressure on. Tied up a lot of the resources, APM, as well as the construction facilities and capacity from Team 1. And at 54 minutes, soon to be 55, this is still not over. If you had to call this now, no cheating, which way would you give it? Difficult to say. Although, perhaps this could be the thing that takes it. Percy's, they push up against the land there. They see a GC, but one GC versus that many Percy's? I don't think so. Let's see yet more artillery raining in from the north side. How many has this Duke got over here? Well, none. The fatties are moving down. We've got a bunch of Percy's here escorting the fatties. We've got a bunch more over here. Yes, Ilmir's got a few units over here. I think a lot of them, though, out of position. And even then, I mean, with this many Percy's, what are you going to do? And it looks like the fatties are here just to prep the area with some long-range artillery barrages. Another GC over here from the odd chicken. Just checking in. We've got 4, now 5 defense sats again in this area belonging to Team 2, firing at the main base of Team 1, but it just looks like Mythologist has too much build capacity on those shields. I'm not seeing it break through. Artillery continues to rain in on Ken's base. It's looking very vulnerable. Why is he not finishing this shield? It's like 90% done. Ken, he must be getting tired. Ping's going down. Desperation here. Beautiful strategic bomb rush from the PhantomSamurai. Looks like he's trying to soften up the defensive capabilities here. And that makes 2 very heavily damaged GCs. And 1 is got all the phasers set on the other. Ilmi is trying to run away. You can't run away from a GC that's following you. That just results in a 0 chance. It's already in range. And despite the majority of the skill, the majority of the terrain, the economy, you name it, Team 2 had it. Ilmir thinks, yes, sod this, I'm out. And that leaves KenKaneki holding the bag for the 6 players that once upon a time compromised the green team. On the Lower East Side, tell you what, seeing this much Percy marching through my base, I think it's enough to make me reach for the Control K and all. Either that or I'd pull the power button, pull the internet out the wall, claim sorry I didn't realise. Let's call it a draw. Yes, poor Ken. I tell you what though, valiant effort. this. Looking increasingly unlikely that there's anything that our friend can do about it. KenKaneki, here he is. And I would suspect that the other team, if they didn't know where he was before, have got eyes on target. There's the ping. Ken eating numerous rounds now from the Percies. Oh, gets just behind a factory in time, then inside a shield in time. That buys him a second or two more. What a fantastic game. Do leave a like if you enjoyed this, guys. Especially show your appreciation to these players. It's a million times easier to cast these games than it is play them. Believe me. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the win goes to Team 1, the underdogs. What a comeback. I'm going to have to, well, comeback of a comeback, really. Once they lost that artillery, I think. I have to make sure at some point there ain't a comeback. Otherwise, everybody's going to figure out, well, if one team's got the upper hand, then it's definitely going to go the other way. Until next time, thank you very much to the Patreons. And wherever in the world you may be, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Until next time, from me here inside the UK, take care. Bye-bye.